Okay, next speaker is Lirra Bishop, followed by Julie Waltz.
Good afternoon. My name is Lirra Bishop, and I see that Mr. Stone is not here. I am not a member of Anonymous, and I am not a protester of the Church of Scientology. I do realize that Ordinance 884 has passed, and it's not going to be repealed anytime soon. However, the last time I was here and I spoke when it was on the agenda, Mr. Stone indicated that there was a lot of misinformation coming from me, such as I would assume that facts like his lawyer, Samuel Al-Hadef, being the same lawyer for the Church of Scientology. I don't know how that can be misinformation when it's fact. The fact that the Church of Scientology requested the introduction and the passage of Ordinance 884, that's fact, so how can that be misinformation? How is the fact that the Church of Scientology put together and supplied Mr. Stone with the alleged anonymous pamphlet? How can that be misinformation? How is the fact that when I asked Mr. Stone's Chief of Staff, Vern Lawrenson, for all of the web addresses that he claims to have, Mr. Vern Lawrenson could not supply them to me. That's a fact. I have the emails. Let's see. And the last time that I was here as well, Mr. Stone said that I could call up KABC regarding the mythical Mormon bishop. And I did just that. I spoke to Elaine at KABC, and she works the assignment desk. And she searched her archives, she searched the internet, and there was no story about any Mormon bishop in Los Angeles or the state of California being protested in front of his home. So that's coming from Elaine from the assignment desk at KABC, and Mr. Stone was very, very specific about which news organization to call, so I did. So I just find it so hard to understand how it's so obvious that Mr. Stone is lying and how his fellow colleagues just play along as if nothing is wrong. That bothers me. Maybe that's why you're the politicians and I'm the stay-at-home mom. I couldn't do your job because, in my opinion, the way you have handled this ordinance alone is very unethical, especially starting from Mr. Stone. So I'd like to know, for this one time, did any of you, Mr. Tavaloni, Mr. Ashley, did any of you take the time to verify any of the information that was told to you by Mr. Stone, or did you just accept it as fact? Because this ordinance is now in effect, and it affects 2.1 million people in this county. Did any of you do any research? I guess I'll take that as a no.
Okay, next speaker will be Julie Waltz.
Good afternoon. I am not with the protesters, and I am not with your special interest group. I am here because of the ramrodding of Ordinance 884. I want to clear up a few issues about this ordinance. This ordinance was not brought forward because of Prop 8. As stated by Supervisor Stone, your Chief of Staff, Vern Lawrenson, clearly identified members of the Church of Scientology as the inspiration for the ordinance. On September 15th, a report from top law enforcement officer, Sheriff Stanley Smith, since the enactment of the ordinance, there have not been any situations where this ordinance has been utilized in situations where picketing has occurred. The Sheriff's Department has found the usage of existing penal code violations more appropriate. You conveniently chose not to read this to the public. You disregard the sheriffs just like you disregard the speakers at the podium. Supervisor Stone, you said there is a lot of misinformation on this issue, irrespective of what you hear from those at the dais. Supervisor Stone, you speak at the dais. I speak the truth at the podium. You stated the alleged anonymous pamphlet was given to you. You never said by whom. No copyrights, no author, and no bylines. You proudly used this bogus, alleged anonymous pamphlet to convince your colleagues to enact this ordinance. And the colleagues went along with it. My chief of staff can give you all the websites off the internet. Do you believe everything you read on the internet? You stated you have the right to free speech. You called the anonymous protesters anti-Semitic and anti-African American. Public Records Act 6250. All communications related to public business becomes public record. You failed to enter your communications into the records. That just doesn't sit right with the public, especially when you create a blanket ordinance that affects the whole county. You said there are allegations that you're soft on sexual predators. The residential targeted picket of high-risk sex offender Dokage, the facts. You stated you stood behind us. You showed up twice, once to bring cold drinks and the other time when KFI was there with the media. You used our skirt tails to further your political career. That speaks volumes. Soft on sexual predators, Ordinance 884 now limits residential targeted picketing and welcomes all sexual predators to Riverside County. Writing an ordinance on speculation and hearsay doesn't fly. The public knows you sold this ordinance. Repeal this ordinance. Why, how would that look to your special interest group who throw money at you? Ms. Bishop and myself have always dealt in facts and provided documentation, not lip service. Mr. Stone, it's not your job to admonish protesters from exercising their right to freedom of speech. We will continue to defend our United States Constitution from domestic enemies like you, Mr. Stone. And in the future...
Julie, your 3 minutes is up.
Okay. Can I leave this pamphlet with you in case you want to sell another ordinance?
Leave it with the clerk. Thank you very much. We have no other speaker slips. We're going to adjourn into closed session.